All right, today we are going to be designing and drawing the file for our desktop name tag in Design2Cut or Flashcut software, either one. This is what the final product is going to look like or something similar. First thing we're going to want to do is create a new document for our file. And then we're going to start off with the base rectangle that goes on. So I'm going to go to the rectangle tool up here under the Create panel. I'm going to come down here somewhere close to my 0, 0 origin down here. I can even lock it to my 0, 0 origin with this X. I'm going to click and release and drag up this way, and then click to establish my rectangle. Now I'm going to come over here into the parameters window. I'm going to use the X and Y offset over here, and I'm going to make this 12 in the X direction or horizontal direction, and I'm going to make it 3 inches tall in the vertical direction. And as I click out of that, you see my rectangle resize. Now in Design2Cut software, everything that you do, you have to check in with an OK. So we'll click the green check mark, and that will create our rectangle for this. I'll go ahead and cancel tool. The next thing I'm going to do is, I don't like sharp corners on my project, so I'm going to take this rectangle here, and I'm going to use the fillet tool. Now the fillet tool has a little bit of quirks to it, but if you follow these steps, it works pretty well. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to click on the dot that is the corner of my rectangle, and when I select it, then I'm going to hit the F key on my keyboard, or I can come up here and click on the fillet tool, but you'll see the F in parentheses is F for shortcut, so I'm going to hit the F key on my keyboard. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to change my radius to 1/4 of an inch if it's not already there. And then I'm going to either hit the green check mark, OK, or I'm going to hit the Enter key. And the Enter key will do the same thing, and that will round the corner. And then I'm going to continue around my rectangle, clicking each point, hitting the F key, and then hitting Enter. And that will fillet all 4 corners. So again, click the corner, F key, fillet size is not changing, so I just hit enter to go ahead and check it in. Now I have a rectangle with 4 filleted corners, nice rounded edges that won't be sharp. Now I'm going to click and drag a box around my entire rectangle to select it. And I'm going to come up and grab my group tool right here, or hit the G key on the keyboard to make that rectangle act as one entity. So now when I select it, it selects the entire rectangle. Now we're ready to go ahead and add our name to this. So we're going to use the text tool up here. And we're just going to come out here, and yours will likely say text, and that's fine. We're going to click to establish it. Okay, so once you've checked in your font, all you need to do is come out here and click on it. You can change what the font says right here under text. So you'll want to type your name in, or your last name, however you want it to appear here in this box. Then we can come to the font name here and click this drop down here. And if we click on one of these, then we can use the arrow key to arrow our way down through the fonts, and we will see a preview. Now, a little bit about fonts. Something like this is not going to cut on the plasma table due to all of these thin areas. Fonts that have really thin sections like this are not going to cut well and are not going to come out well. Fonts like this are going to come out very good. Big, bold, thick fonts. People tend to like to try fonts like this, and again, these really thin areas in the M don't come out as well. So we're going to go back up here, and I'm going to select a font that I have picked out for this. And then we're going to go ahead and check our font in and say apply. And then we're going to click and drag, and we're going to drag our name down so that all of our letters overlap slightly on my base. And I'm going to go ahead and resize my fonts to however big I want it to be. just so it fits across the top. Now, if you notice, when I try to move this, I get a lot of these snaps where those red pieces snap on. If you notice, that snaps to the midpoint. I want the snap that you see there, and then I can raise up just until all of my letters catch across this line here. Now, if I've done everything right, my X coordinate on here should be 6, and my X coordinate on my rectangle should be 6. Well, we need all of our letters to overlap our rectangle. Once you have that and you're happy with your font, we are going to go ahead and explode your font. Understand, though, as soon as we explode your font, you cannot change the font that you've chosen. So I'm going to click on my font. I'm going to come up here to the explode tool. I'm going to leave the accuracy on 1,000th of an inch. And I'm going to say OK. And that's going to convert it from a font to lines like this. All right, so we're ready to go ahead and try to weld this all together and make this into a single name tag, and we'll see if we have any problems. So we're going to go ahead and click and drag a box around our entire name tag. We're going to come up here and grab the Weld Selected Entities tool down here under Transform. We're going to click on it, and when we do, you're going to notice that we lost the bottom of our G. So if you lose part of a letter like this in a letter G or something that comes below the top of your rectangle, you may have to follow these steps to fix that. So we're going to hit Control Z, which is undo, and go backwards. We're going to come up here to the Bridge Entities tool. And the bridge width for me is set at 100 thousandths. That's going to give me a real thin bridge. And we're going to zoom in using the scroll ball and then pan using the right click to move this around to get our G centered on our screen. What we're going to do is we're going to come in over inside here. We're going to click and we're going to drag a box across the bottom of our G like so, and then click to establish that. And if we're happy with where that's placed, we're going to hit the green check mark to check that in. And you notice it's going to cut a bridge across there to make this its own closed profile down here for the bottom of the G. And for any other letters that you have that hang below the line of your rectangle, you'll follow that same bridge technique, check it in, and delete that so that it creates a little profile. Now you can zoom out with your scroll ball, right click to recenter, and then now we should be able to hit the escape key because we were still in the bridge tool over here. Now we're out of the bridge tool. We're going to click and drag a box around here again to select everything. We're going to come up and hit Weld Entities. And this time when we weld, you're going to notice we keep a cutout for the bottom of the G there. Now, we do need to take some time and check our letters. So I chose this font for a reason. If you look at the M and I zoom in on the M, you'll see these lines here that are forming this overrun. And the way some fonts are traced out, you end up with these small little errors right here like this. So what we want to do if we have that is go to the trim tool, and you'll notice if we hover over this, it will allow us to trim out those pieces of line and get that down so that it will just cut up and come down. So we're going to do that to both parts of the M here, and we're just going to right click and drag and pan down through here and check our other letters, which all look good. I don't see any crosses in them. Now, one other thing is when you have letters that have these really, really small cutouts right here, you may end up needing to delete these, as these may not be able to fit a lead in and be cut out, but we'll address that later. Once you get to this point and you have your name tag all drawn like this, you are ready to make sure you save this file